Holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are home. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are home. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are home. We are home. We are home.
Good morning. And welcome to Unity of Louisville. We are so grateful that you're here today. I'm Reverend Valerie Mansfield. I'm one of the ministers here, and blessings for being here with us. So let's open in prayer. We say thank you, living, loving Spirit, for this day, for this gathering of souls. And we say this love flows in and through each of us, allowing us to do the work that we are here to do. We do it with love, we do it with peace, and we do it with ease and grace, shining the light for ourselves and others to be peace, to be love. And so it is. Amen. So today we have Jerry Borland as our guest speaker. He's not even a guest. Jerry's just one of us. He's our speaker for the day. And then we have Deb Reinhardt Brocious as our song leader, along with Robin and Phil as the backup, Robin Gooden and Phil Crothers. And Judy's on our piano, our lovely pianist, Judy Pelsmeyer. And daily word today is Zelda instead of Alex. So that's just one of those things. I'm doing the meditation, and our special music today is our own Robin Gooden and Dave Evans. We welcome you. So we have lots and lots going on. Now for our opening song, please stand.
Please join us in singing There Is a Song. There is a song that my heart always sings. You are the melody. There is a song that my the harmony. You are the melody. There is a song that my soul always sings. You are the melody. You are the melody, the harmony, the music of my soul. Amen. humanity sings. You are the melody. Our God. You are the music. Melody, harmony. Amen. Amen.
Thank you. Lovely blessings to all of us. And so now this is our time of service where we greet our first-time visitors. And I'm going to ask you, as the ushers come forward, to raise your hand if this is the first time you've been here. And we're not going to come after you, okay? So just be okay with that. We're going to give you some information about the Unity Movement, about Unity of Louisville, who we are, and then also a candle to remember that you are the light of the world as you light that candle, to remind your time here with us. So do we have any first-time visitors? Okay, we do. We have some in the middle and up front, none on the sides this morning. Keep your hands raised and they'll get there. Just takes them a minute. The most important thing about you being here for the first time is that we really want to welcome you. If you have any questions, just ask somebody. There's a welcome desk downstairs. You can fill out the card that's in there and take it to downstairs, and they will. Reverend Gwen will be at the welcome desk today. So just remember, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you're welcome here, and that goes for everybody, not just the new. And whatever doesn't resonate, just leave it. Let it go and focus on what does. Blessings. Now let's welcome our first-time guest. So here's the part that sometimes first-time guests don't really like. We're going to go around and we're going to greet each other. And we're going to greet each other with love. And we like to hug. So if you don't want to be hugged, put your hand out and offer that for people. And those of us that know, we hug only when the hand's not out, right? All right. 1 minute. Greet your neighbors with love.
is a song that humanity sings. You are the melody. You are the melody. Oh God, there is a song that humanity sings. You are the melody. You are the melody. The music of a song. You are of all.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Love all the hugs and greetings. Now we're going to do our affirmation. And this month we're focusing on our inclusion of families. So if you read it with me, all families are valued and welcome here. Let's do that one more time. All families are valued and welcome here. And yes, they are. Oh, there's another one. Okay, thank you. We have the generosity affirmation, so we can say this together. I am an exuberant, joyful expression of spirit, participating fully in the principle of generosity. And so it is. And now we'll have our Lord's Prayer, and then we'll have a minute of silence as while the energy workers, oneness blessers, chaplains, whomever wants to circle us and share love and light.
Our Creator, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from error. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever.
Amen. Today's daily word for August the 25th is unlimited. If I look only at my day-to-day human experiences, it's sometimes hard to believe I am an unlimited spiritual being. After all, I have errands to run, tasks to finish, or people to care for. My time and my choices can easily feel limited. But I know the truth of my soul. I take a moment to pause, breathe, and remember I am part of a magnificent whole, a being formed by love and light, a beloved player in this game of life. I am here with a purpose to love and be loved, to give and to receive, to choose joy even among the errands, tasks, and caregiving. This life is my opportunity to be an opening for God on the earth. My divine nature is unlimited. You show me the path of light. In your presence there is fullness of joy. In your right hand are pleasures forevermore. Psalm 16:11.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place. Surely the presence of peace is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of peace is in this place.
And now as we go within to that place of safety, that place of love that exists in each of us, we go there to the peace that is always in us, the peace that moves who we encounter today and every day with peace and love. So I invite you to take a deep breath in and let it go. Just relax. Your feet flat on the floor. And just allow yourself to be for a moment. No thoughts, no worries. Peace. And if you think a thought, let it go. Just let it pass through. And if you're new to meditating, just use the word peace as your mantra. Breathing in peace, breathing out peace. Breathing in peace, breathing out peace. We are surrounded by this peaceful energy that exists in this place. This holy ground which we are together in today. The temple that is alive in you. Allowing peace just to flow. Allowing the healing light of love to move in and through you. Collecting any darkness, placing it into Mother Earth for transformation. Any stress, any worries. We breathe in the light and we let it go. Let that light move through us and carry away whatever we no longer need. And we just rest in that peaceful presence, in the silence. And as we take a breath, We allow that peace to flow from us, embracing the world and all beings with that which we are, peace and love. Spreading that peace and love wherever we go. Allowing it just to flow, touching every heart and every soul. Just as it touched us. We live in gratitude for this day and every day, for life, for love, and for peace. And so it is. Amen.
Good morning. This is a real treat. Back in 1989, this is about as much peace as I had. I recognize the difference. And got blessed with a new way of life. New way of life. A lot of people were sharing with me came here, my first church experience back in 1990, and in recovery. And, I guess you could say that the peace that I felt then and the peace that I have today is a reflection of what you gave me. So I want to thank you. I used to look inside myself, asking no one else for help, and found that every breath I took gave reason to be dying. Fear that someone else could see who I was ashamed to be drove me to a place where I could no longer hide. I can no longer hide. Now I share one common bond, feelings of where I came from, fears I thought to be unique, people here are owning. So I'm grateful for my fears. They are what have led me here, hiding from the truth no more. Thank God I'm not alone. No, we are not alone. Here I am. Here you are. Here we stand, locked arm in arm. Life alone is not God's plan. Here you are, and here I am. Easy words, if you want to sing with me. Here I am, and here you are. Here we stand, locked arm in arm. Life alone is not God's plan. Here you are, and here I am.
May all beings be at peace. May all beings be free of suffering. And may all beings remember who they are. Thank you for sharing that piece of the journey. I'm familiar with that territory. Most powerful line in the peace song is, "And let it begin with me." The rest of it's nice, pretty, but doesn't mean anything until we get to that last piece. And that's not just a wish, it's not just a desire, it's actually a statement of metaphysical truth. That no matter what it is that we are after or looking for, whether it's peace or service, lightness, letting go of an addiction or an attachment, whatever it happens to be, the energy has to begin in here first for anything to happen. Because if it's not there, it's not going to be out there. As inside, so outside. It can't exist out there unless it exists here and first. Now, to begin with today, I want to share with you the idea that you're not just a body. You're not just a body sitting there. I'm not just a body up here spouting off something. When we start off that way, we begin to identify ourselves with what is sometimes referred to as our personality self. There's a number of different ways of looking at the world. Two primary lenses. One is that I can look through it as an individual, so I see you as an individual. I see me as a person, I see you as a person. I see you as a separate entity from me. And because that is the lens that I am looking through, I am going to see you in limitation just as I see myself in limitation. And just as I am focused on all the things that are, quote, wrong about me, I'm going to be focused on all the things that I think are wrong about you as well. Not that we've ever done that, right? But most of us have kind of lived in that space. In fact, what Dave was referring to from my interpretation is I lived in that space most of my life, and something had to come along to change that, to change my vision, not only of myself, but of the world that I lived in. Because my perception of the world was so clouded by my own self-centeredness, by my own sense of separateness and pain, that I put all of that off on you as well. So if this is the way I see me, this is also the way, not only the way I see you, but this is the way you are. And so for a moment, I'm going to ask you as we go through this kind of piece of a journey together this morning, is that you kind of give yourself the opportunity to let go of all of the bits and pieces of identity that you're attached to at this moment. That you're not just a body sitting there. You're not somebody planning a barbecue this afternoon. You're not somebody who went to a Cubs game with his grandson a couple of days ago. You're none of that stuff. By the way, the Cubs won. But you're none of that stuff, and I won too because I was there with my grandson. But that's an expression of your limited self. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but that's not who you are. And I don't know about you, but I am continually confronted with the reality that I continually forget who I am. I become somebody who's standing on line, or I become somebody who's annoyed about this or annoyed about that, or I become somebody who has a grocery list, or the list is practically endless. And all of those things are obviously things that I might need to do in order to be able to survive in the outside world, but they have absolutely nothing to do with the truth of who I am, and they have nothing to do with the truth of you who are. See, when I become lost, when I become somebody waiting online, you know what you become? You become an annoying person who's online ahead of me. Right? Or you become somebody who's behind me who's more impatient than I am. I'm reading your mail, but that's how it feels. And that's the world we live in most of the time, unfortunately. So what I'm suggesting this morning is we've got kind of an easy way. Instead of being somebody sitting there listening to a talk that somebody else is giving, imagine that we are all aware, each one of us in our own unique way. We are all aware of each one of us being a unique divine being that is shining through this unique instrument of your body, your mind, and your spirit. It is somehow coming to you and through you and shining a particular piece of that prism of light that makes up the entire spectrum of oneness. And that's what you are doing right now. Even though your body is sitting in a bench, and my body is up here talking teeth, right? My body is up here moving around. We are all doing the same thing. We are being in touch with the uniqueness of the expression of the divine that is coming both to us and through us at this particular moment. And there's absolutely nothing else that needs to happen. Now, we might be receiving that and doing that in different ways, but that doesn't matter. All we are being asked to do in our own awareness is to embrace the deeper truth of who we are. Course in Miracles suggests I could see peace instead of this. Oh, really? They're not living in the same world I'm living in. They didn't watch the news I watched last night. I could see peace instead of this. You see, we are looking through these two different... Which lens am I looking through? The lens of a divine self who is lost in illusion? Not a judgment, just an awareness. Or someone who can see beyond the war, the hatred, the prejudice, the hurt, the fear, and the shame, and know that there is a truth, not a truth, but the truth that lies beyond what my five senses are telling me. Which one? Which one do I choose? Which one do I begin to consciously choose? You see, we are also told that if I am perceiving the world in war or fear or judgment or any of those, prejudice of any of those, that I am somehow contributing to a tremendously fearful thought because it feels tremendously hurtful, shameful, and almost impossible. But see, what we are dealing with is we are being asked to hold ourselves and to hold the people, the whole world, actually all of creation. We're being asked to hold that in a different way than the way we have learned. I am being asked to hold this as a divine truth, that you are not who you think you are something of separateness that somebody believes is true and that I know is not true. How am I going to even begin to change your mind about the truth of who you are if I am still holding on to an illusion? I can't do that. I want to, but I can't. The entire spiritual message that we hear again and again and again and again is that you have viewed yourself in your world through the limited lens of your ego and your personality, through fear and separateness, and that's not who you are. Are you going to be willing to change that? It doesn't mean that you stop watching the news. It means that you give yourself the opportunity to see beyond that, to know beyond that, to know the truth beyond that, even though you might not be able to touch that. Even though you might not be able to emotionally feel that. I mean, how many times in your life, in my life, have I loved when I didn't feel like loving? Let's suppose you could only love when you felt like loving. Somebody would have put a bullet through my head a long time ago, probably years too. The challenge comes when my self-centeredness says, "Oh, let's wrap myself up in ain't it awful?" And the loving part of me says, "Take a deep breath, Jerry. And if you can't do anything else, just open your heart." Your heart is being you can't stand. Can you do that? And when you do that, or if you do that, everything changes. Now, immediately after, you're still going to be perceiving this person over here through your 5 senses and say, well, nothing really changed. They're still the same. But once you see a person as a divine being that they are, no matter what image they seem to be projecting, you can't hide, you can't take that away. Do you ever go to Walgreens and buy one of those little pongos in one of those little plastic envelopes, and you carry it around in your pocket or your purse for a while, and then one day it's pouring rain, so you take it, put it on, and then you let it dry out, and then you put it back in the envelope again? It doesn't work, okay? And so once you have glimpsed your brother or your sister in the light and the truth of who they are, you can't put them back in the dark. Try as you will, it does not happen. Now the challenge is, are you willing to live with that? How can I hate you when I see God in you? How can I hate you when I know you're a divine being? How can I hate you when I know that I'm a divine being? I can't. But see, I have to be looking at you and I have to be perceiving you through that lens of the truth of who you are. It's like that wonderful quotation, when they go low, you go high. You have a choice to do that. Does it hurt? Is it painful? Is it difficult? Of course it is sometimes. But God cannot heal what we are not willing to let go of. As long as I think there is someone undeserving of love, and I am holding them in the dark, guess who else is in the dark with them? There's no other choice. A line from a song I came across a number of years ago is, you can't hold your brother in the dark and expect to see the light. If you're holding anybody in the dark, you're there with them. If I cannot hold you in the divine light and the divine truth of who you are, then I can't experience that, or I can't let myself experience that myself. Self. It's pretty nice. But it's like a suit. My personality self is my suit. It's not who I am. It's a nice suit. I kind of like it, right? I change it every once in a while. I mean, the suit kind of I might change the color once in a while, okay? I might do this. The wardrobe essentially stays the same. So that's it's a nice personality self. But it's not the truth of who I am, nor is it the truth of who you are. Nor do I have to see the world through that personality. But if I get lost in thinking that I'm my suit, or that I'm my personality self, I'm also going to be lost in the land of what I call not enoughness. There's not enough money. There's not enough food. There's not enough shelter. There's not enough this. And the key one is, I'm not enough. That's my perception when I am living out of my fearful little self. Do you feel the frustration of that? We all know what that's like because we've all been there. Now, the object is not to get there so much, not to leave that behind, but to recognize the truth that already exists inside of you. And the truth that already exists inside of you is you are peace. You are light. You are love. You are the truth. You don't create that. It's there already. And it doesn't happen by getting rid of anything. It happens by recognizing what you are and who you are to begin with. The divine self does not live in the personality. The personality lives in the divine self. The personality is just another lens that my light shines through. Now, sometimes it shines through, and sometimes when I get lost in thinking that I am my personality, it comes out. If you're familiar with little babies, when you have a little baby in your home, for a while it's so wonderful because they are still united to their divine self. They're not conscious of that, but they still are. And so no matter what happens, it's okay. But then after about 6 or 8 months, little things start to become a little bit I gotta change the diaper again. Oh, knocked over the food. Peed on all the glasses, all right? And what's happening is this little being is beginning to develop an ego and a personality. And guess what? What egos do by their very nature is they start rubbing against my ego and personality. And so I start feeling, and that's when I begin to make a choice. Do I love and honor the personality? And I can love and honor the personality, but do I let that get in the way of my vision of them as being a divine being? Imagine what it would be like to be Mother Teresa. Just one aspect of her life. You don't have to become a nun, you don't have to go to Calcutta. But somebody once asked her, Mother Teresa, what is your purpose in life? And she said, my purpose in life is to see the Christ in all his distressing disguises. To see the Christ in all his distressing disguises. I don't know about you, but there's a lot of distressing disguises out there. There's a lot of people that got me fooled. Oh. How about that? What would that be like? It's not about pretending the masks are not there. It's our ability or praying for the ability to see through those. And just are you willing to do that? Whatever, right? That they don't even deserve my willingness to see the Christ in them. I'm sure that doesn't happen to you. But guess where that leaves me? Guess where that leaves them? Both of us are still in the dark. Do I want to be there? I want my cake and eat it. I don't want to be there, but I still want to make you somebody I can't stand. Now I have to ask you, are you your personality? Are you your suit? See, because I have no idea what went into creating your suit, what went into creating your personality. I have no idea what that was. I have no idea what karma, what lessons, what pieces of your journey you've chosen to act out this particular lifetime for yourself. I have no idea what that's all about. I have a tough enough time knowing what mine is. How could I possibly know what yours is? You see, up until this point, all of our thinking, up until about 2,000 years ago, all of our thinking, mankind's thinking, has been about judging and analyzing one another, including ourselves, by what we see. What you see is what you get. You are your personality self. And when Buddha and Jesus came along, and various other saints and teachers after that, when they came along, they said, wait a minute, stop. We're changing the rules, or we're changing the focus. You've spent enough time honoring your personality self and thinking that that's who you are. We're saying that never was the truth, but it's certainly not the truth now. You are a divine being. You are an aspect and a beautiful, unique aspect of creation that is flowing to you and through you. That's who you are. And until you are willing to repent, to think again, to hold this picture differently, then you're going to be stuck in this old thinking that says you are your suit. We are saying you're not your suit, you never were. And we're just suggesting, are you willing to go beyond that? Are you willing to go beyond that? Are you willing to go beyond your self-centered self to a truth that exists for you and all other beings? The way the Buddha put the golden rule was, he said, see yourself in others. Who then shall you harm? Oh. See yourself in others. Who then shall you harm? Do you feel a challenge in that one? But do you feel a possibility in that as well? If I see God in you, if I see you as the truth of who you are, I see me as the truth I am, how can I possibly hate you or wish you harm? I can't. It doesn't work. That commandment, Jesus' commandment of love, Buddha's commandment of see yourself in others, don't work if it can't happen that way. Is to create them. We say that all the time. And yet what happens is we backtrack from that all the time too. We nod ourselves and say, that's true. Say, I will love myself. But just in case, I'm going to hold on to some guilt if I need to change my behavior. I love you, I love my neighbor. But just in case that doesn't work, I'll build a bigger bomb. Let me share a story with you that may put this in perspective. Jack Kornfield, the Buddhist author, passed this on a number of years ago. There's a woman who lived in Washington, D.C. with her only son. Her only son was murdered on the street by a gang member, inadvertently shot for no particular reason. Went to the trial of the young man who committed the murder, who was also just about her son's age. He was about 15 years old. He was sentenced to a juvenile facility until he reached 18 years old. I'm going to kill you. She began to go and visit him. And since he had no family, no friends, nobody come to visit him, he said, what the heck? And then she started bringing him cookies. Maybe a new blanket, maybe a shirt, piece of clothing. She kept doing that up until the time that he was getting released. He had no place to go, no place to live. She helped him get a job. She invited him to live in her home. Took care of him for a while. He got a job, started working, started turning his life around a little bit. She looked him in the eye one day and she said, do you remember that day when I walked up to you and it said, I'm going to kill you? He said, yes, I'll never forget that. And she said, well, I did. That boy no longer exists. Who exists right now is a young man who is proud of himself. A young man who is working continually to change himself for the better. That old self died. I am honoring this new self that is now alive. And because I wish to take that honoring even a step further, I'm going to go to the courts and ask that I might, if with your permission, that I might adopt you as my son. Now, I'm not going into la-la land like that. Most of us are never going to be presented with choices like that in our lives. And most of us say, well, that was nice for her, but what about me? We have a choice every moment of our lives. How I am going to see myself and how I'm going to see the world around me. She didn't stop grieving. Her grief didn't go away. Her pain didn't go away. But she decided for herself, I am going to look at this differently. I am going to hold this differently. I have a choice of how I hold this. I can hold this in fear or shame or guilt, but I choose to hold this differently. I choose a higher way to look at myself. I choose a higher way to look at you. I choose a higher way to look at the world around me. A teacher was once asked by a student, what do I need to know? What can you tell me the most that will be the most pervasive and needful lessons for me in my life? Can you condense it all down to one thing? Of course, that's the personality self asking for something like that. But the teacher was not into complaining or anything. Said, yeah, I will tell you. Now, this is not the answer to everything, but I will tell you the answer you need for you. And the answer is very simple. Love yourself and forgive yourself again and again and again and again. When I allow myself to be in compassion, I feel the pain of another person's separateness. And I don't judge them for their separateness, but I feel it and I sense it because each one of us knows what that feels like. We know what it's like to live in the land of not enoughness. We know what it's like to live in the land of forgetfulness. We also know what it's like to live in the land of forgiveness and remembrance. And that is the gift when we open our hearts to all other beings. That is the gift we give them, to be in that truth. I came across this a couple of weeks ago with someone's take on the Serenity Prayer. A little bit different, but also true. God, grant me the serenity to stop beating myself up for not doing things perfectly. The courage to forgive myself because I am working on doing better. And the wisdom to know that you already love me just the way I am. Let there be peace, and let it begin with me. Thank you all. Have a wonderful week.
Like a magic wand, right? Thank you.
Never put your bass in the dryer.
I would like to say that this song was born out of a really weird situation I had back in the middle 80s. Great friend of mine who shared music and a whole lot of things back in the 80s. Lost touch with him for about a couple weeks. He was transitioning. It was like what? We had shared, and I mean shared so many things. I did get a hold of him one day, and he said he was going to Carter Lake, eastern Kentucky, and fish. So that's about all the energy he had. But he talked about how much he got out of fishing and what it gave to him. Bing, what God gave to me was this realization that you are the fishing hole for me. What you give to me. And I can only hope that I can repay that or bring a little bit of peace to your day. Thanks. There ain't nothing in the world like fishing, not before or at the break of dawn. You get an early start of thinking just about everything but moving on. You see, the other morning I was letting all my troubles run up that fishing pole and down that line. I watch them vanish in the lake like bubbles. Yes, right before my very eyes. Bless these eyes. That's right. Well, you know it moved me like a real cool river. It's to wash away my selfish pain. So I sold my soul in the silence, Lord knows, of a brand new fishing day. Yes, and you know I caught a few good keepers. Yes, and I caught a little piece of mind. You know it, there's nothing in the world more peaceful, Lord. There ain't nothing in the world more kind. Just throw them back now. with the morning I've been grateful for what I have. Well, I had a little talk with the Lord above. Said, thank you for making me a lucky man. I said, let the river's wake flow through me. Yes, let water be my final home. And when the current cares to move me, won't you let me float your fishing boat, yeah. Yes, so when the sun lifts my body skyward and it evaporates my useless bones, won't you rain me on the starving peoples? Won't you let me be your fishing hole, yeah. Won't you let me be that fishing hole? Won't you let me be fishing hole? Yeah. Now there ain't nothing in the world like fishing, not before or at the break of dawn. No. You get an early start at thinking about everything, but moving on, I stood about everything. Yes, everything but moving on, yeah. Just like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Now as we come to our giving of our gifts and our love, and we'll say our prosperity proclamation together as our ushers come forward. We just take these gifts into our hand and we infuse them with our love. As we say this together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. so we know that this love has come in and through each of us. And special gift too today, so that was just really good. So we'll do our so it is. So we have a lot going on, and I'm not going to get into a whole lot of it because you have your bulletin. You can go ahead and start filling out your prayer list, and we have plenty, so you can put them in the prayer. Yet another insert that tells about the actual day. Thursday, September the 12th, starting at 8 a.m., we'll have prayer in the chapel all day until 6:30. And at 6:30 in the evening, our prayer chaplains from Unity of Louisville and the prayer chaplains from Unity of East Louisville are coming together to do part. They're going to bring everybody you know, and let's just together and stay in prayer. Okay? The next day, p.m. And then Rosamaya here, we're going to support them with the concert and the workshop there. That's it. Our prayer for protection. Stand. Thank you. Together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Now for our peace song.